And hello, everyone. Yeah, I know it's been a while, but been a lot of things going on. Um, Working on some business stuff that's been taking forever. It's funny how you can work so hard, so long in a business, and you can work for years and you don't make any money from it. But a lot of times, a business that takes years to bring to fruition can pay off big. So we'll see how it goes. And this is a whole different business that I've been working on for the past 8, 9 years. And a lot of ups and downs, and that's the way it is with business. I mean, there were times we were almost there, but due to politics, it about nearly broke everyone. People come and go. You hire people who you think are professional, because this business has a lot to do with other industries. That doesn't have anything to do with cars. And no matter what you do, there's always somebody out there trying to kill it for you. But anyway, that's not my. I'm not talking about that today. This little piece right here, owning a customized car, that's our business. That's the business we love. That's the business we're passionate about. So when was it? Friday? I think it was Friday, or no, it was Sunday. In Sunday Car Evangelizing, I wrote that bit about highly recommended. That is actually something that I've been doing for quite a number of years. I think I put down 7 or 8 years. No, 20 years. I don't remember. I think 7 years, and there's been about 20 or so jobs that I recommended to various shops. It's a good little business. If you know cars in and out, and if you worked in the industry, you built cars, I think it's a good little business for anyone to get in on. You have to get your legal stuff straight, because it does involve contracts between you and the client, or you and the shop, or all three ways. It can be done anyway. I do have a friend over in Europe. He's a designer, and what he does, most of his cars are very high-end wagons, and they call them shooting brakes over there, or estates. But here we call them wagons. These are some very high-end, Rolls Royce, Ferrari. He did a Tesla. And people pay him to design the cars, and he contracts the work out. He's a consultant, of course, and he's worked real hard at it. But there's a market for that too. It's not a huge market. Your clients in this business are pretty much in the 1% and under class, which, in my business, my striping business, it was everybody. I mean, you could be broke and spend your last $300 having me stripe your car. You can be, worth $200 or $300 million and having me stripe your new Escalade or your Rolls Royce or whatever. $500,000 hot rod. Anyway, if someone's looking for something to do, maybe you're retired, you're tired of the jim jamming around of owning a shop. What you do is you have to get the word out that this is what you're doing. And by doing that, you get with the shops first, find out if they're interested. And then you go to car shows, you talk to people, you just start passing out your cards. Most people will ask, advice, or who can I take my car to have built. They'll ask their club members and their friends. And this goes way beyond that. What this does is it involves really getting to the meat of the matter about what the car owner wants. You talk to him about what to expect, what are his expectations, and what can happen, because we want to get them familiar with the negatives. I hate to say it that way, but the car owners, there have been so many bad experiences. I mean, so many. And these people don't realize it, but they need a mediary to come in and say, yes, this is what I do. I have 2 shops, 3 shops, 10 shops, and I usually pick 3. Say a gentleman has a let's just use the old, my favorite 56 Chevy, and he wants a ground up, you know, pro built car. First thing I'll do after the introductions, you know, we'll talk a few minutes, and I will just come out and say, I want to know what your budget is, because the shops that I deal with, yeah, the word budget is often used, but they don't really deal with people with budgets, because when you talk about budget, you're thinking, well, I'm trying to save money. I don't have much money to spend. Now, don't get me wrong. I do have people that come up. Last year, I had a gentleman. He had a 67 Camaro, and he wanted to paint it. His budget was, I think, 10 grand. I don't remember. I think it started out 8 and ended up being 12. And he ended up getting a pretty nice job. And I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to tell you something. If you want a show car, high-end, quality paint job, one where you're going to win awards instead of enjoying your car, if you want to just go win awards, I'll send you somebody that I know in Vegas that charges you 30 grand and up. Now, a lot of people say, man, I had one guy a few years ago, he said, man, I don't get it. What's the deal with 30 grand? I said, well, you really need to look at those are the paint jobs that the judges look at. Because these judges, they know what they're looking at. I mean, I have seen some paint jobs that were 5 grand. That look, oh my God. And then you really get close to it, you start looking at the detail, and it's not there. 30 grand job, 50. Nowadays, it can be 100, and that involves the body work and things like that. We're not talking about just the paint. So there's a lot involved, and the price keeps going up because people have set a standard for this industry. People want these cars that they can get in and drive, not miss a lick, dependable, AC, comfort. You can go anywhere you want them. And then, you know, after they spent their 400 or 500 grand, they're not going to really sell it for that, but they didn't build it for that. A lot of these guys, and women too, that's chump change. That's change they got sitting in their jar at home, so to speak. I mean, most of it, you know, is legitimate, that's for sure, but a lot of it isn't. And that's a whole nother area of discussion. But so anyway, if this is something you want to do, you set out a plan. What's your experience? What are you experienced in? You may just be experienced in upholstery, and I'm going to tell you, upholstery is a huge thing in this industry. We don't have enough upholsterers. It's like the paint and body, things like that. We're getting to the point where we don't have enough of them either. So price keeps going up. It's supply and demand. Right now, there's a big pent-up demand for custom cars, hot rod cars. The performance end is a whole different deal right now. I'll discuss that later too. But you set out a plan, which I have done. Get you some details, get your systems in place, and you just go out here and you start hustling. Go to car shows, send out mailers, emails, messages, whatever. And right now I have 7 shops, and they're all busy. They're all busy. So if anyone contacts me about building a car, I say, look, here's the thing, most of these shops are 2 years out. And the problem is, a lot of them want a shop to get it done 6 months to a year, and I do have some of them. And I did send one gentleman to a shop a while back. I think it was a 56 Cameo, Chevy Cameo. And the truck was already in pretty nice condition. I think the build was going to be around 50 or 60 grand. The truck already had chassis underneath it, but he wanted to pull everything off and repaint it and paint the whole truck a whole different color. I think it ended up being around 65 grand. But it turned out nice. And that was, you know, kind of on the low end. Not really, that's kind of mid-level. But if he'd had to have the chassis put in, the engine, I think he had the wiring redone, it would have cost another 40, 50 grand. So if you want to do this as a business, now this is for Wednesday. I call that Wheels of Wealth Wednesday. I don't know if I'm going to continue with that name on the videos, but you can, like I said, lay out a plan. I do have some layout on specifics on how to do it, what you need to do. You know, make sure you got yourself covered as far as liability, but that is one thing you do put in the contract. Once you make the deal with the shop, That's pretty much it. And you make this your customers understand. Look, I'm just making a recommendation. Were you making any money? Well, yeah, I'm making some money on this, and that's how it works. You can either pay me or the shop pays me, and that's how it works. And this has been done for centuries, you know, kind of like you're an agent, a broker. So how do I charge? Well, it just varies. The last shop I sent a job to, there was all kind of, I usually get an upfront. Had a 40 Ford pickup about 5 years ago. I didn't get an upfront on that one because the guy was a good friend. And, you know, I made my money, ended up making money striping the truck. Let's see, what else was there? I did have one. The guy wanted I think it was a Can-Am Porsche. You know, these things are like 4 or 5 million, you know, restored. And we never could get that deal done. Too many people were afraid to work on it. I didn't know about the guy out in California, Bruce. I'm not going to say his last name. That's all he specialized in. If I'd have known 2 or 3 years ago about him, I would have sent it out there. But what I do is before that, I tell him, I said, look, I get a percentage of the job. Now, I have had some shops, they moan and groan, complain about it. And I'm like, well, I'm sending you work. Do you know that your insurance agent gets a percentage of what you pay every month? Okay, I'm sending you a job, and I think this Can-Am was going to be around 2.5 to 3 million to restore. I said, look, I'm sending you a job that's going to be worth 2 or 3 million bucks. I need my percentage. And your percentages can vary. They can go from 1% to 20%. I had one shop I was getting 20% from, and I mean, it was working out pretty good, but he got lazy and he didn't finish some jobs, and it kind of messed me up because as like 3 months ago, I had a guy text me about you know, this and that. And I said, man, I didn't even know your vehicle was still over there. He thought it's funny, he thought I owned the shop. So he made amends, and so did the shop owner. It was kind of frustrating, but that will happen. You just have to be calm about the situation, be understanding. So here's what you do. Go out, print up some cards or flyers, or get you a little website going. I don't have one. Get on FB, get on Instagram, get on all the social, put it out there. Tell them what you do. Show them what you've done. Like me, I've built a bunch of cars. I can put cars on there and show them what I've done. And I have a reputation as the pinstriper, and a lot of people still know me. People still call me, won't know if I'm dead or I'm still alive. A lot of people thought I was dead because I stopped pinstriping due to health conditions. So pass out your, you know, get your name out there. And like I said, first thing you got to do though is you got to get with the shops. You don't get customers first, because you have a guy come with you with a car. He's like, oh yeah, I need to get a car built. I got a '63 Cadillac, man. I want it bagged, silhouette, suede, and interior. I want to put a you know, I'm not going to say LS motor. It won't, like my nephew, I think he put a 350 in his 61. Just, you know, basically stock. You know, here you go. So you know, you have any idea how much that'll cost? Well, I don't know. It can anywhere from 25,000 to 200 grand. What do you want to spend? Now, that's one thing I've learned in my 40 years in business. A lot of times I made more money by asking people how much they want to spend, and the jobs ended up being a lot easier. So you get your shops, knock on the doors. Hey, yeah, I know who you are. What are you doing? Well, I'm retiring. Or, you know, I bought and sold a lot of cars, and I built some at home, and I'm just starting a new business. What it is I'm like the middleman between you and the car owner. Car owner comes to me. He wants a shop to build him a car, complete ground up. And once you've proven yourself to me, which I do, I have a questionnaire. I need references. I want to know how long you've been in business, what your yearly revenue is. That's for a reason, because I have dealt with shops that, man, on the phone they sound really good, and then when I take a trip over there, I look at pictures of their place, they don't meet my standards. They have to meet my standards, and that's one thing you need to remember. You have to have standards. You don't go in there saying, oh man, I just want to make that 10 grand off that job, because it will come back to bite you in the butt. And even if you got 100 grand for a build, as broker and build, there's still something that can happen, because it does. You know, that's what I said earlier. You have to make those clients, the car owner, understand that once you sign a contract with the shop, that's between you and the shop. Now, there are some legal issues come up, and I will tell them, do you have a good attorney? They'll say yes. I say, okay, before you sign that contract at the shop, I want your attorney to look at it. Have them peruse it, because what it's going to do in the end is save you a lot of frustration, arguing, money, time, crying, laying in bed wide awake, because it happens every day. I have seen people put 200 grand in a car and it's not finished. I mean, like people say, oh, why'd you put a down payment? Why'd you put a deposit? Well, let me tell you something. You go buy anything big that's substantial like a car, you got to put a down payment. When you go in, you put a down payment and then they, qualify you. Same thing with a house. My son sold their place over there. The guy put earnest money down, and then it ended up being a big argument because he wanted to back out, and he blamed them for it. I mean, Jared got it. They got the lawyer, and their lawyer straightened everything out. So protect your, you have to teach your car customers to protect themselves, because the shops, they have lawyers too, the good ones. So, say you've got a couple of shops lined up. You made an agreement with them, okay? Now, what I do with my shop, they have to pay me a yearly fee. It's $500. That is to remain on my list of highly recommended shops. Because when they give me that $500, that means they're determined, they're committed, and what I'll do is on a monthly basis, I send them ideas, some marketing things, some business things. I even will talk to them on the phone. So basically, they're getting my advice for less than $50 a month. Now, if they want to go full on consulting, advisory, then it costs a lot more. You're probably looking at between $5,000 and $10,000 a year, and I do have some shops that are interested. We're working on some deals right now. So you got your 2 shops. You got 3 car customers that are interested in having their cars built. So you meet with them on the phone or Zoom or however you want to do it, or meet in person. A lot more people meeting in person now. Keep your physical distancing if that's what they want to do. Wear your mask, whatever. I mean, I hate to talk about that crap, but I have to. So you meet with them. Guy with the 63 Cadillac, you look at it, it's a total build. The car is all original, doesn't have a motor. So you call Ajax Hot Rod and Custom Shop the next day and you say, this is what I have, 63 Cadillac, ground a rebuild. The guy wants to spend $150. And you tell him, say, I did tell him that, hey, it could be more. Could be more, because you got to look at the shop, look at the vehicle, look at the build. So where do you go from there? Well, then you intermediate the meeting between those two. You can get on a 3-way call, you can do a Zoom, or you can meet them at the shop, and I have done that on numerous occasions. And you guys sit down, you let the shop talk to the car owner, and the car owner talk to the shop, and the ones that I've done, I just pretty much kept quiet. They will look at me and say, what do you think? I say, well, it's your car, it's your shop. All I'm doing is just putting the two together. So it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. Most of these jobs, let's see, there was a vehicle we built, oh man, this is 12 or 14 years ago. I don't know how, oh man, no, that was longer than that. Yeah, that was about 15 years ago. I don't know how this guy found me. He said he found me on my website, Mikey's Pinstriping. And I had pictures of my cars and cars that I built. And he said, I typed up custom car builder, your name come up first. I'm like, that's weird. And they were from out of Wyoming, and they wanted to build a safari truck. So I sent it over to a customer of mine. They did a good job on it. And he said, hey, if you do a good job and reasonable, he said, I might have 8 or 10 of them. We ended up having 5 more. Well, I sent them to someone else because there were some issues with the other job, and the other guy didn't have time. Well, anyway, I got 20% on each build. 20%. And that was up front, because what this shop does, and what a lot of shops do, he will take a down payment. I think there were $8,000 a piece. Yeah, one of them I think was around 12, because there's some interior things. And what he would buy these trucks, Chevrolet, most of them are later model, drive them over to the shop from wherever he bought. He'd fly, go buy the truck, and he'd just drive them down over here to Texas and give them to the shops. And I told him, I said, it's half up front, half. He had no problem with that. So I think last time I talked to him about 3 years ago, they had about 30 of those things. They had different people. I just got paid on, I think 8. So it was easy. It was easy. I never even met the man. Never met him. It was really easy. And I mean, that probably took me a total of 20 minutes. But, I'd go over there and check progress on the shop and different things. And that's what you'll do. Now another one, I had a guy spend $185,000 on a 60 El Camino, but this car was just, whew, they went crazy with the custom, the stretched cab, the custom paint. Well, he had a humongous business that they did work all over the world. And when we sat down over at a restaurant over here off I-10, we just talked about it. I didn't tell him anything about my fees or my services. And he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, they do good work." I said, "This is the first job that I've referred to them." But I said, I was looking at a 32 they did here a while back. Man, the work was great. So he took it over there, and I made a deal with the shop before. I said, "Look, I'm bringing you a job that's going to be almost 200 grand. I said, this is how much I want up front. If you don't want to pay it, then I'll send it to another shop." He goes, no, we'll pay it. He said, we are running a little low on the cash flow, and that kind of worried me right there. But they took care of their obligation. And when the job started after about a couple of months, this was like a year-long project. He calls me up, the owner called me up. He said, "Hey man," he said, "can you go over there?" He said, "I need you to go over there once or twice a week." And it was only like 15 minutes away. He said, "Can you just keep an eye on the car?" And so he said, "They are sending me videos and stuff, and he'll send me an email how probably." He said, "But I want somebody that I can depend on to do this." So he paid me for that too. So that's another area where you can make some money. Okay. So as the car progressed, I didn't like the way things were going, and I told the owner, I said, "Look," I said, "I don't like the way this is going." I said, "The painter out there is arguing with this guy, and this guy said it's not his job, and this guy his." And I said, "I like the design that the artist did, but I said, this is like a early 60s custom." And I said, "You're putting tribal flames on an early 60s custom." I said, "It just does not mix." Well, I couldn't convince them that was the wrong thing to do. And when they did it, oh man, it was just horrible. Paint was horrible. So anyway, the deal got closed. The car got done. Ended up being on a calendar or something. And about 6 months later, the car, he just took it to a few car shows. The paint started peeling on it. And he goes, "Mike, I know you're not responsible for that, but what do you suggest?" I said, "Get your lawyer." I said, "Well, no, go to the owner, go to the paint shop, a paint store that supplied you the paint, and find out." Well, big arguments ensue. It's his fault, his fault, his fault, his fault. And it's basically what I said what happened. I said, "Man, there are, the paint shop's arguing with the body men, and the body men saying it's the mechanic's fault, and it was just got crazy." So we're talking about a man here that was worth lots of money. He said, "Well, I've got 6 lawyers." Guess what happened? His lawyers got into the deal. I mean, it just, they redid the whole paint job, paid for it all, and I got to restripe it again. No, I take it back. They didn't let me restripe it because the shop was going to have to pay me. He didn't want to. So anyway, I do have some material. It's just on a PDF, and I'm going to work on some more. So you guys, if you are interested in this, more detailed, let me know through my email on here. You can go to Instagram, or you can go to Facebook, Mikey, M-I-K-E-Y, capital C, Hartman, and message me. I can't tell you my phone number here. But anyway, I think that's a good opportunity, and each week I'm going to, come up with some different opportunities. Like I said, I wrote the book on how to start a hot rod and custom business, and I wrote the book 101 automotive businesses, and I've always been interested in automotive. Okay, let's get back to this performance thing. If you don't know, like I said, I don't know how many people are going to see this because I stopped taping, and I think that kind of hurts the viewership. But anyway, if you want to know what's going on with the performance industry, go to RPM Act that SEMA has out, because the feds and that 3-letter bureaucracy that belongs to the government, they want to do away with performance. They say when you put anything performance on your car, you're doing it for racing, which I've had a lot of stuff with performance, and I never raced it. I told one guy, I was talking to a cop one time at a car show, and he goes, "All these cars in here," he said, "they can all get citations." He said, "A lot of them just look like they can get tickets." I said, "Well, why?" He goes, "Well, I know they're for racing." And he was pretty built. I mean, he looked like he'd been, working out for years. I said, "Look at you." He goes, "What?" I said, "You're built." you're big and buff. And I said, does that mean you go out here and fight every time somebody looks at you? No. That's the same thing with a lot of these performance cars. Me, I just love the sound of it. And yeah, I can get a Honda Accord and go out here and burn rubber. It'll go 130 miles an hour. Yeah, but you know, I said, once again, you're a bodybuilder. Does that mean you go out here and you're looking for fights all the time? No. I said, well, neither of these hot rod, these high performance Mustangs and Camaros and Challengers and what have you. I said, yeah. I said, I've had some performance cars driving down the road and people want to race me. I didn't do it. I said, when I was young, I drag raced, but we lived in the country. So that's the RPM Act. And if you need to go and check that out. And I'm not political, but I am saying this because I want to help this industry. I think what they're doing in each state, I think you can go online and write your representative or congressman or governor or whatever. Tell them, look, you know, we're not out here to pollute anything. We're not hurting anyone. And yes, there are a bunch of idiots out there that do hurt people because they're stupid. They leave these cruise-ins and they do burnouts and they hurt people. People have been killed. You know, I'm going on 65. Yes, if I was going to do something like that, I'm going to do it out here in the country. And still then, like where we live, their troopers go by all the time, you know. So y'all check that out too. But anyway, if you're interested in this highly recommended deal, where you refer car owners to shops and you get a little percentage of what they charge, then let me know. And if enough people are interested, if I can get, you know, 10 or 15 people are interested, I'll go ahead and finish up that manuscript that I have. It's got some pretty good details about how you do this. So let me know. Until next time, have a good day.